on. These people want to destroy the system that we live under and create their fantasy. Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen...
It's the great thing about this country. Everybody gets a second and a third chance, but it's becoming increasingly dangerous with these people. You have to take them at their word. What we're seeing here is what I have called, I wrote a book about it called The Shadow Party, which has been put together by George Soros. So you get billionaires, you get unions, radical unions. The head of the SEIU is an old SDS radical with a Leninist perspective. And you get street radicals. And Soros put them together in a coalition. And you see it embodied in a Van Jones, a street radical who graduated from Yale Law School and who's a protege of the Center for American Progress, which is run by Clinton's former Chief of Staff, John Podesta. That alliance was put together about 5 years ago. And what you are seeing unfold now are the plans that Soros laid for the 2004 election. He was defeated then. Bush unexpectedly won.
Tell me, David, you know, when you hear, it sounds crazy. And it's almost like these things are ghosts. You know, it's like you're chasing ghosts. Well, okay, so he was in Storm, big deal, that's over. Now he's in the Apollo Alliance. There's a lot of credible people there, credible businesses.
Yeah.
The Center for American Progress, I mean, it's John Podesta. He's worked at the White House.
The Apollo Alliance is a broad coalition to advance very radical agendas, and it includes very respectable businessmen, powers in the Democratic Party, but its muscle is unions and radicals. And it was created out of Rob Borisage, Center for the American Future. Borisage is an old SDS radical. When you become disillusioned with the left and you see its destructive agendas and you see the way it supports America's enemies abroad and you see the way it doesn't really advance the interests of poor people or black people in America, when you become disillusioned, you turn and because you're a very political person, you want to tell other people. And that's been my career and other people like me. But it's not Van Jones' career and it's not Rob Borisage's. They buy the agendas still. They are still seeking to overthrow this system and to create a socialist future.
You think the President of the United States, Barack Obama, has that agenda?
Absolutely. I have no doubt about it. You have to see where he came from. First of all, he was an operative for Acorn. He's out of the Alinsky School. He worked for the Gamaliel Foundation.
He'd say that's politics of the past.
That's nonsense. People don't change overnight. Who changes overnight?
He said, well...
besides Arianna Huffington. I mean, this is not what people do. I mean, you know, people are committed. This is a moral thing for people. When you are a radical, you believe that you are in the army of the saints, a righteous person. And it's immoral. And if you know, I've just read actually Van Jones' book, The Green Economy, and you can see he defends himself against people who say he's selling out. That's the big thing you can't do. If you sell out, then you become vilified. I mean, I'm just totally vilified on the left. So everybody in the left understands, I don't want to be a sellout. It's actually something I said to myself when I was young. So you could always tell when a radical has changed because they tell you they're changed and they understand what's wrong with the left. And what's wrong with the left is its agendas, what it actually does, not what it says, but what it does.
Do you think Barack Obama is the architect or the anointed one?
I think Barack Obama is the anointed one. I think that these agendas are being driven by people like Soros and Rahm Emanuel. I think that Obama, this is what he wants. I mean, I made a mistake with Obama. I thought he was going to be smart like Clinton. And I thought he was going to understand that America is a country you have to govern from the center. And he would be to the left of center. But I didn't think he was going to empower Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid to drive a steamroller over the country and bankrupt it.
I said, I was at the Time 100, and I'm sitting there at Van Jones is there, sitting at this big table. And you know, I'm the only one there with my philosophy. And I said, let me ask you this. Agree or disagree with the president? Forget about the policy. Has anybody stopped to think what America looks like at the end of 4 years with just the changes that have been proposed and put into place right now? Has anybody done that? The silence was deafening.
It's all instrumental. That is, when you're a radical, what you are thinking of is power. It's about power. You adopt this position, you take up that issue, but it's all to advance the power. They never think about what it's going to look like or how to put it together. I can tell you, a radical never spends 5 seconds on thinking what makes a society work. That's not the way they work. They want to know where, you know, what they can get away with to advance this big agenda, which is you get power and you change everything.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
That's the way they think.
You said that it's becoming increasingly dangerous to ignore this. Why?
Well, I've watched the growth of the left, you know, for 40 or 50 years. And this present sort of movement of the left started in 1972 with McGovern. There used to be a Communist Party, and that Communist Party imploded, and it supported a monstrous regime. Most of the people who created this new left, this, we'll call it the Alinsky left, after its guru, Saul Alinsky, supported the communists. They supported the communists. They still think that America should have pulled out of Vietnam and let 2.5 million people be slaughtered. But I have never seen it so powerful. It has never controlled a major party.
They are in control.
They are in control. The Democratic Party is no longer the party of, certainly not John F. Kennedy, who had the same politics as Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Hawk on defense, militant
My grandfather was a Democrat. My whole family were Democrats. My grandfather, I know who my grandfather was. He would not have been in the same room with many of these people. He would not have.
Watch Joe Lieberman.
Yeah.
And here's a liberal Democrat, and a liberal Democrat in the post-McGovern era. And he is very concerned on national security, concerned on health care.
Is America finally waking up to what's happening in our country? The answer's next.
Today.
First, let me say that I have been waiting for just conservatives to wake up for 20 years. I always refer to these people as liberals. There's nothing liberal about these people except their attitudes towards drugs, hard drugs, and sex. That's what they're liberal about. Everything else, they want to control your life. They're intolerant, they're bigoted, and they will try to destroy you, as you're finding out, if you disagree with them. Now, I think that there is, I have a strategic idea, but also just an encouragement. The country's mentality is not radical. It is not radical. It may not be conservative, the way conservatives like to think, socially conservative and so forth, but it's not radical. And they understand that. They're very good. That's why they always talk about the private sector, like they care about the private sector. They care to just get its money. As Lenin said, the capitalists will sell you the rope to hang them. In my view, we should take a page out of Alinsky's book, Rules for Radicals. And he says, what you do is you go outside the experience of your opponent and you disorient them and you make them react in a way that reveals who they are. The big secret of the left is that it claims to, and this, of course the Democratic Party, to be the champion of poor people, minorities, women, children, when in fact it is the oppressor of minorities, women, and children.
I noticed this with Acorn. When they'll take these people who are the lowest rung of the ladder, push them into, I don't care, Mickey Mouse, whatever, forge them. We'll give you $20 for everyone you keep going.
Use them.
And then they throw them to the wolves when they're caught and say, it was just rogue people. Then they use those people as they're being tried and say, look, the man is keeping him down. They were the ones who put him in that situation.